All right, and now let's try and get in some perspective from the United States. And for that, I'm joined in by Congressman Gregory Meeks. He's also an integral part of the U.S. House Foreign Affairs Committee. Many thanks to you, Congressman Meeks, for joining in. Just a few days ago, you met with Ambassador Vinay Quatra, who's the Indian ambassador to the United States. You underscored Congress's support for the U.S.-India partnership, which has strengthened over the past 25 years, including through the Quad. That is the statement that's also come from you. In your assessment, where is this relationship standing as of now under the current Trump administration?
Well, I'm concerned. I'm concerned about some of President Trump's actions, particularly the tariffs that he has put on India for no reason, in which as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't make sense. We've got and have, well, as you've indicated, for the last 25 years, very strong relationships and achieved a lot. When you think about what we've done over the 20 years in space, in science, in public health, in national security, and through mechanisms like the Quad, we've been very close. And I don't see the 25% tariffs that he put on India, why that happened on the so-called Liberation Day, and then the additional 25% that he put on India because of the purchase of Russian oil. He didn't do that with China. He didn't do that with anyone else. So it gives me concerns as to the direction that President Trump is looking at India. I think that we're too close and too important countries to have a rift or a divide between us. And these recent actions by President Trump is worrisome to me.
Also, the big talking point is that there's been a shift of tone in Donald Trump in the last few days. In fact, in his latest post, he's referred to Prime Minister Modi as his good friend, expressing hopes for trade negotiations to arrive upon a conclusion, to which Prime Minister Modi is also reciprocated, and he's in fact responded and also said that he's also looking towards unlocking the full potential of this bilateral trade relationship. In fact, with the United States, he's also reminded in his earlier post that the US have a very positive and forward-looking, comprehensive and global strategic partnership with India. Are you hopeful of a resumption of dialogue now between India and the United States?
Yeah, I do. I am hopeful that we fix this, and our relationship is too important for us and for the world, quite frankly, for it to dissolve into name calling and going back and forth. I think that we've got to be careful on both sides to allow it to escalate. I mean, to be honest about that, there were some members of Congress and some citizens of the United States that was confused and upset when they saw Mr. Modi in China with President Xi and Putin, and it seemed as though that they were shaking hands and were trying to some alliance. So we've got to make sure on both sides that we're clear about what we're doing and not allow someone like Russia, whose aggression into Ukraine, divide us.
Congressman, I'm just going to get into the power play that we witnessed some days ago as well. But before I do that, I want to draw your attention to the kind of language that has emanated from the White House, particularly from, say, trade advisors like Peter Navarro, who've referred to India as Kremlin's laundromat, Modi funding Putin's war chest, this being Modi's war as far as the conflict in Ukraine is concerned. What do you make of such incendiary language for a key strategic ally like India? Navarro has, in fact, just yesterday again said that it will not end well for India if New Delhi doesn't come around at some point in the trade negotiations with the United States. So what do you make of this kind of menacing, threatening rhetoric that has been used, particularly by Donald Trump's administration when it comes to their trade officers?
You know, knowing President Trump, I mean, I was told and believed that, we've got to negotiate, and we know that negotiations sometimes are tough. I was told that we were close to having an agreement at one particular time. But I think that there's something that may be personal for President Trump. We've seen how he's dealt with other nations also, where there is something personal that he might have wanted from the relationship that he has not gotten. And like sometimes a child gets upset and has a tantrum. I don't understand it. It doesn't make sense. The relationship is more important than what Donald Trump and his incendiary language. And that's one of the reasons why I think it's important for me to speak out as the ranking Democrat on the House Foreign Affairs Committee, the former chairman of that committee, so that the people of India know that there's individuals in the United States Congress who do not agree with the actions of the president, particularly with a strong ally of the United States. And unfortunately, it seems as though the president has treated some of our allies as if they're adversaries, and some of our adversaries as allies. That being said, there's always times where individuals may have a difference of opinion on some matters. But as allies, when you have that difference of opinion, you have a dialogue and a conversation about that, and do not use incendiary language when you're doing it, especially not in public, which is worrisome to me. I think that the rationale, if you are really interested in supporting Ukraine against Russia, you don't just go after India. You talk about China and others that might be purchasing oil. So to utilize that because you're not getting your way in some other area does not seem rational to me and many other members of the United States Congress. So there's no explanation for it, really. But I think that if you're just looking at the facts and seeing whether it's rational or not, it's not rational.
Congressman Meeks, you interestingly also referred to the meetings that have taken place between India, Russia and China of late. Has better sense dawned upon the US president after the power play he's witnessed at the SEO summit in Tianjin and the military parade in Beijing?
Well, look, I think that there had always been a move. Donald Trump clearly admires authoritarian governments and leaders. We saw the bromance between him and Kim Jong-un in his first administration. We know that the only concession that he's made in these tariff negotiations has been to China. And we know of his tendencies to agree with and allow Russia to do what it's doing in Ukraine. That's problematic for me. I think it's more important for the United States. When you talk about the United States and India, you're talking about the world's oldest and largest democracies on the planet. And that means a lot in working together. And for example, the alliance between the United States and the Quad, which is India is a huge and important piece and one of the leaders in. That helps bring the democratic governments of the world together. And we just don't want, it to appear that those that are autocratic governments to see that they are trying to then break that alliance to get a more alliance in line with them.
Congressman, my last question. Given that Russia has been an old ally, a time-tested one to India, and has been in touch, Prime Minister Modi has also been in touch with the Ukrainian side. But even though Ukraine has backed the secondary tariffs against India in that statement that came from the Ukrainian president just a day ago, yet the Indian Prime Minister maintains good offices with both sides. Is India uniquely positioned to play a role in efforts for peace in Ukraine?
I think India is a critical and important country, and I think India could play a role in letting the Russians and particularly President Putin know that and the fact that they invaded Ukraine, not the otherwise, that they are continuing to strike and kill individuals in Ukraine, and that we've got to give strong support to Ukraine so that they can defend its own territory. And I think that message can be delivered by India to Russia because of their past relationships. And that should then give Russia more pause in what it is continuing to do in Ukraine. I think that's the way we can. So if that dialogue was taking place just a few days ago, a week ago, was that Prime Minister Modi was delivering that kind of message to Vladimir Putin, then it is taken in a completely different vein.
Okay, we leave it at that. It was a pleasure speaking to you, Congressman Gregory Meeks. Thank you so much for speaking to us here at CNN News 18.